Well, welcome to another episode of Raising the Grade. I'm Eric Russell, owner of Rising Tide Landscapes, and today we brought in Patrick with Southwest Sunscreens, kind of a power partner of mine. We have to put screens on a lot of windows to protect the turf. Welcome, Patrick.
Thank you, Eric. It's a pleasure to be here and an honor. I really appreciate you having me on today.
Yeah, no, we're just here to talk, have a good time. Definitely going to be fun getting into how we met a little bit later. I think you've seen a couple. I try to kind of drill everybody off the bat and just ask them, who is Patrick? If people were to describe you, family guy, single guy, tell us just a little bit about yourself as we get started.
Got it. So who's Patrick? That's a good one. I have watched a couple. Very good podcasts. When I thought about it, it was like, who is Patrick? And for me, it comes down to one very solid thing that is very important to me. I'm a man of faith. That's the strongest part of me.
Mm-hmm.
Because without my faith, I have nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I give it all to the man upstairs,
Mm-hmm.
my creator.
Amen.
So that's the strongest thing for me. Who I am, on a day-to-day basis, as far as I function and what I do is I'm a guy that likes to work with my hands.
Mm-hmm.
I like people. I like building relationships. And that's what brought us here, was the relationship side of things. So customer service, people, that's who I am. I like to make people comfortable. I like to make them happy. I'm also a very organized person.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I like systems. Language.
Yeah.
So that's another part of me. That's very important. If you walk into my house, my garage, my office, you would see that reflection in me right away.
I love it.
My wife wasn't that way for a while, and it's definitely worn off on her.
That's fun.
Worn off into our finances, and it's pros and cons to everything. But that's part of who I am.
Okay.
And there's a lot of other stuff to me too. I'm not all perfect.
Yeah.
I'm human.
Amen. Same here.
But I do the best that I can. I try to wake up every day and be the best version of me. I try to be better than I was yesterday.
I love that 1% rule, right?
Absolutely.
You touched on a lot there. That went faster than I thought. You talk about, building a relationship and being a relationship driven person. And I can attest to that because, part of my journey as I've started my company was just reaching out to folks. And a lot of times the way I found the folks was I hopped on Google myself and found the reviews and stuff. And I will say, you guys were personable. Brad and yourself both talked to me on the phone and were like, oh, what are we doing here? Hey, how can we help you? And it really became this really quick back and forth. So I can definitely attest to the trueness of what you were saying in there, because it was different. It was a little bit different than I've called a lot of folks. I've knocked on a lot of doors. I've visited a lot of vendors. And so it's kind of been neat to select, if you will, kind of who I'm like, come on the show, so that was a lot of fun. And I can definitely attest to that. I'd like to know more about kind of what's gotten you wired over the years and stuff too, because I think everybody in business is so, they all came to where they are for many different reasons. Are you local guy, born and raised here? Did you move in here? And then maybe get into some of the different jobs or work you've held or education. High school. Absolutely. For me, don't care, but I'm just kind of curious.
So that's a loaded question for sure.
Yeah.
So how I'm wired, and I'm a local guy,
Okay.
Born and raised in Arizona. I went to school just down the street at Arizona State University.
Okay.
Right out of high school for construction management. I originally wanted to do architecture.
Yeah,
I loved homes.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the building process.
Mm-hmm.
When I was younger, I used to say I want to make a house a home. That was like my tagline.
That's fun.
My parents always were into real estate.
Okay.
We always were doing projects together.
Mm-hmm.
They had a successful business in the home health industry.
Okay.
And so we started to have, a secondary home. One was in Prescott.
Mm-hmm.
And then we moved, they were from Ohio. So then we got a secondary home in Ohio so we could be closer to their family.
Cool.
So we had projects going on. So always loved the construction process.
And working with your hands, it sounds like fits right in with that.
Absolutely. Always following dad around with a hammer as a little kid, you know, cutting trees, mowing lawns. When I was about 12, you know, I was always looking for something, hanging Christmas lights. So that's a little bit about, you know, me being here. Definitely a local guy. And I love Arizona. Yeah. I did spend one winter in Akron, Ohio. I was there for a year. And I said, I can't do the shovel and snow before I go to work.
No, thanks. I thought you were going to say something different. I can't do the shovel and snow.
No. So I like it here. I do. I mean, it gets hot. That's my busiest time of year at Southwest Sunscreens. I mean, that's when we're busy, and that's when I'm needed. That's when I can help the most people. So
have you been with them like a majority of your career, or have you just jumped on board? How did you kind of find them? How's your connection to them?
Okay. That's a good one. And that's part of my favorite part of the story.
Okay.
So I'm glad that you asked. Then we'll go into how I'm wired. Don't let me forget that too.
I just rapid fire sometimes too.
Totally. No, I love it. I love it. Yeah, that'll be great. So I've been with Southwest for 13 years.
Wow. That's
Southwest
awesome.
has been around 13 years.
Okay.
Brad, my business partner and the owner, found me on Craigslist.
Okay.
At the time,
love this.
I was doing handyman work.
Okay.
Under the tag VIP install.
Okay.
That was my LLC at the time. I was out of college. I had worked for Pulte Homes, and on the side, I was doing handyman work.
Handyman seems like a ton of fun, honestly.
I loved it.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, I was enjoying it.
Okay.
I mean, I wasn't super profitable, you know, but for what it was worth, I loved it. A
trade-off here, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
As a young guy, I really enjoyed it on the side. Like I said, I was working for Pulte Homes.
Okay.
I never finished my construction degree at ASU because Pulte offered me a full-time job.
Got it.
Because it was 2009 and the market went.
Yep.
And I was an intern with them. And they offered me something I couldn't deny. And my ego at the time said, I'm going to do it. And there was stuff going on back in Phoenix, you know, back at home in Peoria. And I said, I'm going to go back. And I was working in Anthem at the time.
Okay.
And I said, I'm going to take it. Okay. And I left.
It's a big move.
And I had a couple of classes that I was struggling in. And I thought, I'd rather just take a job. And if I go back and do it over, I may have done it different.
I mean, that's tough to say, you know. I mean, you're here where you are now. I struggle with that a lot. Get it, finish it. You know, you started something, finish it. But at the same time, weren't you going to school to get a job?
So, well, and that's the thing is I always tell my kid, you know, you need to finish what you started. So that's the hardest thing for me. So, but I do look at it and go, that's the past. And where I'm at today, I'm very happy with. So, but I like to make it clear. I talk about going to school, but I didn't finish my degree.
Yeah.
So 13 years ago, I'm on Craigslist.
Most business owners, I feel like, you know, it's like, honestly, like there's some screw loose where we just can't quite.
Yeah. So Brad's on Craigslist and Brad was larger at the time. He didn't want to go on roofs. He was scared of breaking tiles. So he wouldn't go on a ladder either. So he was just measuring 1-story windows. And he saw my advertisement for $50 an hour work. Okay. So he called me and said, hey, Patrick, this is Brad. I do sunscreen. Would you measure a window? I said, I sold the job. We call it eyeballing. And he eyeballed the window. He said, would you go measure this window for me on a roof? And I'll pay you $50. Sure. Said, you need a ladder. He didn't have a ladder because he didn't go on roofs. I went out there, I measured it.
I love this.
And then I came down from the ladder, gave him the measurements, and he said, okay. He said, will you come back and install it for $50? Sure. So that's how our relationship started.
How fun.
And we started to build a really good relationship after that. We became best friends. Okay. The business started to do really well. And he was the best man at my wedding.
Oh man,
I attended his wedding in Idaho. I lived with him for a while. Wow. He got his home, I got my home, and it's been, I guess, a love story ever since then.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
That's how I got into the company. That's how it it blew up. Since then,
Cool.
we've added another division. That's the east side. So everything west of I-17 is his and I's territory. And then everything east of the I-17 is the east side.
Wow.
And we cover the whole valley.
You guys are getting it done.
Yeah.
Do you ever get calls to go up north, like Scottsdale or down south to Maricopa, or
Yeah, we go. We do go in Valley. We do. We don't go to Tucson. We don't go up north.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything north of.
Cool. So
Anthem.
Maricopa, even you gonna go there? It's getting down there.
It depends on the location. That's more of a question for my east side guys. If they're in the area and they feel like they can make it happen, then they will. But I know they couldn't go to one last week. It was too far. Too far. But that's something that with our new endeavors and where the direction that we're heading, we would like to expand further.
Yeah, let's talk about that some more. We met probably, I guess, a month and a half ago now. I feel like time is flying. Holy cow.
Yeah.
But we sat down to lunch and, talked about everything. And I'm a new business at the time. You're giving me some great pointers. And then you're kind of leaning into like hearing me talk more about stuff like this and everything. You're like, I would do that. So it was great for me because I'm like, perfect. Got a guy. I got a guest. Let's go. Yeah. And so having you on here, what are some of these new endeavors? Like you guys are kind of like upending the apple cart with the business a little bit, and I think making some really good moves. Tell me about that.
Why? It's a lot.
What you're doing and why.
Well, so honestly, it comes down to we got invited to go to a conference 2 months ago. It was on the 28th of. It was exactly 2 months ago. Okay. So we went to Nashville. Okay. We got invited back by our window washer. Okay. And only I was going to go.
Do you have, let me interrupt you, window washer in-house or just a partner?
Partner.
Okay.
Yep. Just somebody that we refer out.
Okay, cool.
And it's called The Huge. Okay. And it's a big convention.
That's the event?
Okay. It's the convention. It's a lot of window washers in that industry, but there's like a sales, there's a lot of different things that you can do while at that convention where there's sales,
pressure washing, screen sales.
Exactly. So it's a business convention, right? So I was going to go. I was excited. He got us tickets and he said, do you want to come? I said, yeah, I'll go. And Brad wasn't going to go. Brad's not, you wouldn't find him dead doing one of these. Okay.
Sure.
He's not as much of a social guy. Yeah, right. He's more of he's just not.
He's great to talk to on the phone. Yeah.
Yeah. He's fantastic. Yeah. He's a great people person and he's good, but it's just not his thing, So I told him I'll go. Like I think it would be good for me to go, especially to represent the company and to support our window washer. So we both ended up going. Go ahead.
Oh, you did? You got him to go with you?
He ended up going. So he looked into it more and thought maybe I should go.
Maybe I should.
So we both went.
I love it.
And it changed our lives.
Yeah, I think this is great because so many times these conferences and stuff get overlooked, but I think there's some real value there in challenging you, exposing you to different things, questioning the norm. And I think it's so neat that you mentioned Brad wasn't going to go. And then he goes, and now you guys are on the course you're on.
Totally. And we're on a course that I've wanted to be on. I think he was more comfortable with where he was at, which we all get comfortable. I was comfortable too.
Sure.
But I don't think he realized what was available.
Yeah.
As far as resources. So we went and we left that conference with a fire underneath us.
I like it.
And so since then, we've decided to rebrand.
Okay.
We've decided to take on coaching.
Okay.
To start hiring more people.
Excellent.
We've got the vehicles wrapped. We haven't done any marketing in 13 years.
Wow. And you guys are big. That's how I found you. Like somehow
we're one of the leading.
You're doing great.
We're up there.
500-ish 5-star reviews.
Yeah, between the two divisions, we got 360 on the West Valley and 120 on the East. That's just Google reviews. Yeah. So, and they're all 5 stars.
That's insane.
So we decided to implement marketing
Mm-hmm.
in order to get that bottom line higher,
Okay.
so we could hire some people
Mm-hmm.
and build a winning team.
Mm-hmm.
I started reading more. I'm not a huge reader.
I love this. Tell me a
So
book that you're thinking about reading.
Right now, I'm currently reading from Tommy Mello.
Okay.
It's on culture, the business culture.
Yeah.
Now I'm spacing the name
that's
of
okay.
it. But anyways, it's a phenomenal book, and it's all about building the culture within.
Mm-hmm.
It's on like the 5 pillars of business, and it'll come to me. It's just totally
quite all right. Okay.
And it's about building a winning environment. It's a win-win, and it's about advertise. We advertise to our clients, right? We advertise to our customers.
Mm-hmm.
We should be doing the same thing to our employees.
Interesting.
And that way we build an A player team.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm in right now, and I just love it. It's been able to kind of take me away. So the whole idea is to take us from working in the business to working on the business, so we can have more time with our family.
Mm-hmm.
We could take more time and put it into the processes.
Mm-hmm.
Put more time into the policies, procedure, all that type of stuff.
Creating a business instead of a couple guys putting screens in.
Because for 13 years, that's what we've done.
Sure,
and we've done a good job at it. But now we need to build that efficiency process and duplicate it and make it replicable. I don't have the word to say.
Yeah,
replicate it for somebody else.
I know it's in there.
It's there somewhere.
Yep.
The book's called Elevate.
Okay.
So it's elevating, and it's a phenomenal book. I love Tommy.
Cool.
He's a local guy too.
Okay.
He's A1 Garage Doors. He has his own podcast.
Yes, he does.
And he's fun to listen to.
Okay.
He thinks, time. I mean, he thinks big picture.
I'm gonna have to watch some of his stuff because it was fun. I just watched the Green Mango guy and the Coconut guy, and so he's right up there with them. Where like you just see a truck on the road and you're like, oh, them again.
Totally.
I love it. So I really like this branding. I want you to get into your branding a little bit.
Okay.
Because I swear you took my idea. You didn't ever know that it was my idea, but I think pink is a win for that standout color of just like getting people's attention and like, what are they doing? My buddy back in Oregon, who I worked for, we put a big pink billboard up in our local little town. We parked the Great All there and hung a sign from it that was pink, and it just said, "Yes, this sign is pink. Now call us for your remodel." It was a sign. But I love the pink play and just kind of the loudness that it represents.
So this is what it came down to. We said, let's figure out colors. We said we love our name. We have a good reputation. We don't want to get rid of our name.
Mm-hmm.
We had interviewed all the big players when it comes to rebranding and that kind of thing. And we decided to go the route of not doing that, and Brad and I doing it on our own.
Okay.
Partly to save costs,
sure,
but also because we felt like we could manage it.
I think so.
And so we started kicking around some ideas. So one night Brad was sending me some ideas, and what he did was he laid out all the ads in Valpak and everything he had on his kitchen island, which is a big kitchen island. And he sent me like 3 photos, and they're all side by side. And he says, "What color's missing?" I said, "Pink."
It's actually, that's interesting.
I said, "Pink's missing."
I like that.
And he said, "You're right." And then I immediately went and I said, I typed in Google. I said, what color goes well with pink? And it came up with this teal color.
Yeah, love it.
And what we knew is we needed 3 colors. So I thought, and then what color would complement that? And it gave me like a silver color. So that was our first 3 colors. It was pink, a little bit of teal. That's not a teal, it's like a blue.
I see it working.
But so we had our 3 colors. And so then we went and we went to a designer and had we said, this is what we want. We want a mascot. We didn't show him a photo of me. We didn't show him a photo of anybody. We said, here's the name. Give us a mascot. Go. And we got the ideas and we found what we liked and we love it. Everybody asked me about the mascot and they say, is that you? I said, no. The guy had no idea what I looked like or who it was. And it's just something I
The mascot is yoked, by the way.
He's yoked and he's got blonde hair and it's not me. So I'm not yoked, But we're very happy with it and it turned out great. And could have we gotten better results out of another company, that does that all day long? Maybe.
But I don't know. It's pretty good. It's pretty much right there. And you should be happy.
We're happy with it. Yeah. We did we achieved what we needed to achieve. and we set goals,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and we're on the path to achieve those goals, which is this Friday, November 1st.
What's happening on November 1st?
Well, we've got
this will air later too, so this will have already happened.
This will have already happened. We've got an email list. We've got, like 9,000 customers that we're going to send out just an email blast to and let them know that Southwest Sunscreens has rebranded to the new pink color. And then we're building, not new, but the core values and the mission statement along with that. And it's who we are.
Cool.
And it's going to be bright. And what we want to be is we don't only want to be the best, but we want to be the most well-known.
Okay. These are high bars. I appreciate it.
And that's how you do it.
I think you're well on your way though, really, in terms of size out here of window screen companies, I called a bunch of them too. So I know, I think, and maybe you already know, you guys have got to be up there at the top in terms of size.
We know the companies that are major players out here, and we know the sizes of the other companies. It's a matter of us getting to the size we need to be at. There's other good companies out there. It's a matter of how effectively they're doing their branding and their marketing. We know where we succeed and where we do well at. When we implement the marketing and the branding, we feel like we can take Southwest Sunscreens to that next level.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited because I believe you. I know you to be meticulous from just our couple of meetings, and it sounds like maybe you and Brad are just a kind of dynamic duo, and that's fun to see going down. Life happens. Not everything's perfect. You happen to share a little bit about your shirts, and I think this is fun to get into because it just happens. I actually have had my logo got changed on accident by one of my printers, and I just said, that's good. So now that's been what we've been running with because nobody was the wiser,
Right.
Tell me what happened with your shirts.
So our shirts are pinks. We went with what they call full sublimation t-shirt, which is something we ran into at the conference. So it's what the window washers use. It's also what like NASCAR pit crews use. Because you can do a full print on it. Because what we wanted to be was like a walking billboard. So you're at the gas station and the back of your shirt has your logo with the mascot. It has your phone number. It has your website.
I love that.
Okay, but on the front, still simple. It's just it's a polo. We want to be in polos. That's just has been our standard, and that's what we want to continue to have. But on the front, just a little logo. With the mascot.
Are you pressing it on, or are you stitching it in? Or?
So it's called full sublimation. So it's actually printed. Okay. So it'd be something you'd want to look up. I'll show you one. I'll wear one once they're. So back to the mistake that happened. So we sent it over. We had everything approved. It's supposed to be a pink, similar to this pink, or what's on the hat, pink.
Pink.
They arrived last week on Wednesday. They're red.
I saw the picture and I was like, "That's red as
so
red."
They've got to be reprinted.
If you were to say, "Hey, make me a red shirt," that's what I would pull out of the box.
It's red, so it was disappointing. But we talked about it, and all I can do is joke about it. I mean,
it's all you can do.
And I'm gonna have to wear them for the first probably another month or so because we're going. We're changing. Come Friday, we're changing. We're moving forward. We're hitting our goals, and we're gonna have to wear those. That's the way it's gonna be.
I love the dedication. So, do you think that you got wired that way because you sound and present yourself and have shown yourself to be very goal and task orientated, and I think that does get things done, and I really appreciate that. Where do you think that came from?
Probably the way I was raised is what I would have to assume because I've always been that way.
But have you ever thought about it like this? Like you could have a brother that was maybe sloppy and not that way. Maybe raised in the same house.
No, and that's
so
true.
Maybe what's about you that made you say, yeah, we're checking boxes. Friday, November 1st, the email's going out. Come hell or high water. What do you think that is?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it because I had a brother that was that way.
I've got 3 kids and they're all over the map.
Yeah,
same parents.
It's the way I'm wired. It's the way that I like to achieve something. I'm a list guy. You know, I like to make a list. I like to get it done.
List. Yeah.
I don't like to have too many lists. If I have too many lists, then it's all over the place.
I call those open tabs, and I'm there right now.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
So to me, it comes down to the organization. You know, back in the day, I used to call myself OCD. Other people call me OCD.
Yeah.
And I've worked on that over time because what I've come to realize is being too much of that way becomes an hindrance. You know, it hinders my production. So I had to let some things go.
Sure.
Okay. And that's helped me be more productive. Okay. And get more things done. But in order for me to be successful, and I tell Brad this all the time, like we worked on our business plan. We redid a business plan with our coaching. I said, I need a deadline. If you don't give me a deadline, then it's just up in the air. Yeah. Because we both did one so that we could compare and contrast. And so for me, that's just how I'm wired. And why? I just have to thank the guy upstairs, I guess. Yeah. You know, and it's a blessing.
Yeah, I think so.
And you said the dynamic duo, and I have to agree with that because, you know, Brad came to me and said, you know, I can't do all this alone. He says, too much. This is after the conference. He said, this is my offer to you, and I need you to come along beside me in order to achieve this. And I said, I can't deny that. I can't say no to that.
Heck yeah.
So it's been an honor to be with Brad. He's taken care of me for so long, and two's better than one. He sent me a quote, and it said, you can run far by yourself, or you can run fast by yourself. You can run far together. Something on the lines of that. Neat. But it was a really good quote, and really, you know, meant something to me. And it come from Brad, somebody that's not very deep. I'm more of a, you know, the emotional guy. So it meant a lot to me, and it just shows that, you know, it's two different brains together, and it really does seem to work.
I love that.
So, because a lot of partnerships don't work. We've talked to other guys, other landscape companies, you know, we work with, and they'll just say, I can never do a partnership. Yeah. But in our situation, it works, and it works out really well, and we're very blessed for that. Yeah. So because we're able to divvy things up.
Yeah, I've seen it all through my career. The ones that, you know, some worked, some didn't. You know, so I'm gonna have to think about that. You know, what it was about the ones that worked. And I think it's generally, you know, one partner probably knows a lot more than the other one and is willing to tolerate them long enough for them to get up to speed. But there's probably more character things involved than knowledge base or anything. You know, I'm thinking about, you know, it was not a partnership, but, you know, me and my buddy worked hand in hand, and it was that he knew everything and taught me everything, but he knew I had his back. I wasn't going to lie, steal, or cheat from him. And it was great because he took me under his wing. I learned a bunch of stuff, made him a bunch of money, and I didn't care. It was great because I knew where, you know, I knew where it was going. And he's doing great, but, I love to hear that a partnership's working because being in construction long enough, I've seen the same thing where it didn't shake out so well, you know, and then there's a split or whatever. Okay. So you go to this conference, which sounds like a ton of fun. Nashville, Tennessee. My oldest is over there in Knoxville, and I can't wait to get back over there. But what made you guys like went all in? What was it at the conference that was really the catalyst to make the change from going from being who Southwest Sunscreens was to who you now have elevated that you're going to become? What set the new trajectory? Was it, it's because what I'm hearing in the background that I want you to probably go towards is the employees or the growth or the impact on the valley. Maybe dance around that a little bit.
Yeah. So I think ultimately it was, we were at a point where we weren't going to grow anymore. You know, we were stuck. And if we walked away, the train stopped. And that's kind of how the analogy I made to Brad.
Yeah. I would love to. Yeah. So that is, I want to stop there just because that is so true. I've had several people approach me and say, hey, do you want to buy my business? I don't have any money, but if I could, there was nothing there to buy.
And that's exactly it. And that was another key factor, is that the company had no value without Brad or without me or without both of us. And so it really came down to, we need to put these things into place in order for it to have value. And I kept saying, you, me, you and I, we've worked for 13 years to build this and to help these people and to help the valley. Why don't we start implementing these processes and do what we're being told and reach out for help and for resources?
Amen.
And give ourselves that back so that we do have something of worth.
I love it.
And not only that, but build a winning team.
To share also.
Build a winning team at the same time. Give people jobs that we love. Because when I go to work every day, I'll tell a customer right to their face, I'm not working because I love what I do. I don't have to work a day in my life.
It's so fun.
It's so fun. So that's the kind of culture and philosophy that I live by and want to build. We had our first interview today. And it was nice to be able to tell somebody, who we are, how we live, how we do, and what we can offer to them.
How fun.
So that was kind of the breaking point. It wasn't necessarily one thing, but we hit as many of those classes or meetings that we could at that conference. We booked ourselves full.
Good.
The only thing we did when we were in Nashville really was we went to the Grand Ole Opry.
Oh, beautiful.
And then we did go have dinner at, on the... they call it Old Town. What is that strip? Because we don't drink.
Don't know.
But the main strip there, and we people watched and had a meal. But we were focused on business, and I mean we listened. We thought we were good at Google, and following up on leads and our sales process and getting reviews. We were just basic. When we started hearing these other companies talk and these other professionals give us advice. So we signed up for stuff. We said, what? We have Brad called it a CRM. We didn't really have a CRM.
Yeah.
No, I was telling him for years. It was nothing. No, it was a CRM, but it was on one phone.
Yeah.
And only he had access to it. Oh, it was horrible. I would joke with him. So I said, our goal is to get a CRM. Yeah. So we got signed up for a CRM the day we got back.
Yes, good stuff.
And I plugged the House Call Pro because they're awesome. It's a great system. Now I have access. The other guys have access. We can take photos. Yeah. It sends a text. We have GPS in the car. So the customers are waiting for us when we get there.
Isn't that awesome?
It's phenomenal. They see a photo of me, when I'm on my way. The things that we're doing that we weren't doing before is just bringing our customer service experience even higher.
Yeah.
And
it benefits
it gets me excited.
Everybody. You guys win. The customer wins. Your installers win.
Totally.
People that don't know you yet win because now they're going to have a lot more visibility.
Totally. It just raises the bar, and it makes
it raises the grade.
Raises the grade. I did. There you go. Raises the grade. And so it just really does. It makes me excited. And what we decided too at that point is everything we do from this moment forward, we're going to be looking towards the future. So if we're going to wrap our vehicles, for example, which we did, we're not going to wrap a trailer that we currently have. Let's get the vehicle that we're going to be hiring for somebody else because we're changing. So we bought a box truck. So everything we've been doing from the show and this point forward is with the future in mind. With that being said, we're thinking about our new hires and the processes that we're going to be putting in place. So we had a trailer before that would attach to our pickup trucks.
Yeah.
Instead of wrapping that and then getting a box truck in 6 months or 12 months, we decided we're going to go ahead and get the box truck now. We'll wrap that and we'll start building the processes and the SOPs for that vehicle.
Awesome.
So that when we're ready to hire, that's already done. And then it's ready to go. It's wrapped, and we're not just doing something twice over because that's more work for us. And then we already have a process in place so that when somebody comes on, we can say we've done it and this is how it's done. And not in an arrogant way, but in a way that we
want to know. Employees want to know
in a way that in a way that if they call us and they have a question, we can answer it and we can get all the kinks out of the system because for 13 years, for the first 3 years, we had a different setup, but for the last 10, we've been running the same system. So we want to be able to run a new system and not just one day give them a box truck and say, good luck. So,
figure it
so everything
out.
we're doing, we're putting a lot of thought into,
I love it.
so that it can be efficient, just as efficient as we are now. Because when we go in, we're in and we're out, and it looks very professional to the customer. So
yeah, I love your work. You've worked on, I don't know, probably a third of my projects, just because it's, almost, a lot of projects require a sunshade. Let's segue into a little bit more about maybe what you do and maybe how you do it. I know for me, it's a no-brainer. I need, sunscreens is what I would call them. Is that
sunscreen, solar shade, same thing.
Solar shade, yeah, okay. Just briefly touch on that. Are there different meshes and styles and like, do you have a bronze frame and a white frame, or like what happens?
Yeah, so as far as sunscreens go, I mean, right now we specialize in window and doors.
Okay.
We're going to be expanding those services, but there's definitely, an array of different frame colors and fabrics. The main purpose of solar screens is to shade the glass from the sun to help with energy efficiency. There's an 80% fabric and a 90% fabric. Okay. Those are the two most common. That fabric comes in multiple colors, lighter colors, darker colors. They both serve the same purpose, lighter, darker. They're both going to do 80% heat block or 90% heat block. As far as the frame color, we've got from white all the way to black.
Is it the heat? Is it blocking, I guess, the UV or the heat?
It helps with like UV, but it's mostly shading the glass from the heat.
Okay. So then the glass can't, you almost have another layer. It's instead of a double pane or triple pane here in Arizona, you have a quad pane or something. You have this other like physical barrier stopping the sun and the heat from even getting to the window.
Right. It actually is reflecting that heat away. The technology is the nanotechnology. Awesome. So it's what it is. It's a polyester dipped in a polyvinyl, and the technology just gets better and better.
Let's go. I know.
So, and like in your case, so if you have turf underneath a window, these newer, especially these newer, all glass windows have some reflection. When the sun hits it, you get a reflection.
Yep.
And that hits the turf. Turf's made out of plastic. It wants to melt. With these newer windows, they have a higher reflection.
Yeah. Sun 140 and what's the other one? There's a green or a blue hue one too, like low E and Sun 140.
The low E stuff. But what it is too is it's the industry, the glass industries, they're having higher standards because of the government. So it's just getting more reflective. So it's pushing that sun back to
somewhere else. Yeah.
So when you put a solar screen over top of that, you stop the reflection and you protect your turf asset, because turf is not cheap.
Yeah, no, it's not.
So there's a lot of different uses for it. It started out with, keeping it cooler inside.
It really helps people too. I tell people, like, you're going to notice a difference in this room specifically. And I've even just kind of nudged a couple of people and been like, just do that whole face of the house.
People are blown away. I mean, most people in Arizona that've had them know about them. They, you don't have to really tell them much. They get it. Other people, they need a little bit more knowledge on it. Some people just don't want them. They don't like the way they look. And then you give them their options. We have some specialty fabrics that, are less, you don't see. It's just, there's a lot of different options.
Can we talk about visibility? I feel like you're just about there. I feel like I've always been able to see through them fine when I'm in the house.
As far as seeing through them, it's the problem that happens is it's a 10-year fabric. Okay. That's from the manufacturer. We use Textiline product. So there's another plug for you. Textiline. It's a United States product.
Let's go.
But after 10 years in Arizona with the dry heat and the direct sun, on your south and your west sides, especially where that sun hangs out all day long, and then in the evening where it's at its strongest point, it's going to start to deteriorate. Okay. Like anything that has a lifespan, it's going to go bad. I mean, when that happens, the polyvinyl starts to wear away, and then your polyester starts to show. And that's when you start to not be able to see through it as much.
And it's time.
But when you, and you get the white, like if it's black, you'll see the white polyester start to come through. And a lot of people are like, I don't want black because it gets white. Well, it's not going to get white until it's at the end of its life. So there's a lot of myths and a lot of things that are in people's mind, and you just got to reassure them. Like, out of the box for 10 years, your product's going to look great. But seeing out of it from the inside, like with a 90%, you can see out of it. On the golf course, people on the golf course, like they're like, I just don't want to mess up my visibility. I have photos that I show because a photo tells 1,000 words, in my opinion. It's great.
Yeah, I've had really good luck also.
Totally. I mean, I show them photos and I set the expectation. And the only thing you have to really take into account is your light consumption coming in. So if you have glass, you get a lot of light coming in. Okay. If you have an 80% screen over top of that glass, you're going to have less light coming in.
Like 80%. Yeah. Or no?
It's not going to take away 80% of your light.
The 80% is just like the heat coefficient or something.
Exactly. So, but you lose some of your light.
Sure.
Okay. But here's the kicker. Most people that have a window with glass and no sunscreen have blinds or shutters.
Almost exclusively.
And they most of the time keep them closed.
Yep.
So what I tell them is you can open that now with your 80% and you're going to get a lot more natural light in here. So it's actually going to be better.
What's the process like? Somebody calls you, give me the elevator speech from kind of phone call to you're at their door, and then what happens, and like maybe you don't have to stick to it. I know there's a million different window sizes, literally, but like, is there a ballpark per window or per job or anything you feel comfortable sharing that like might help people at all, or is it too vague?
Yeah, I don't mind. Minimum 235. For one window. Okay. But it's going to obviously range on your sizes. The smaller the window, the smaller the cost. If you've got a big project, it's going to vary. Typically about 150 a window. Okay. But it all depends. So that's why we
there's windows really small and huge. And
we offer a free in-home consultation.
Cool.
So if you call us and you don't know your sizes, we'll come to you. We'll measure each window individually and give you a custom quote. On site that day, no questions asked. Other than that, if you call us and you know your window sizes, we can give you a quote over the phone.
That's pretty awesome.
So we try to make it easy.
What's your current lead time, and do you see it going up or down?
It does. So it changes in the seasons.
Yeah.
Currently, we're at about 10 days.
Cool.
10 to 7 days, depending upon which day it is in the week.
Yeah.
But our cutoffs, on Monday. But yeah, I mean, if you place an order on Monday right now, it's done it's done that Saturday. But in the summertime, we can get to 2, sometimes 3 weeks. But our shop is very efficient. They do a wonderful job.
Oh, I know what I was going to ask. Are you making, I'm sorry, I just jumped all over you.
Yeah, you're okay.
Are you making the screens on site, or you go measure, make them at the shop, or do you just?
Our philosophy has always been, in order to get the quality that we strive for, we do not make them on site, especially in the summertime. So we measure, and then they're made in our facility in Phoenix, where it's air conditioned.
Yeah, okay.
The guys get to listen to their own music, and we have the right professional tables. Yeah, and they're experienced guys. So the quality that comes out of the shop for Southwest Sunscreens is going to be the highest of quality that you can expect.
I like that.
Okay. And we guarantee everything we do. Some people get confused with our warranty. So we actually remove that from our quote card.
Okay.
Because we do have, in my opinion, the highest standard of quality of warranty, if you will.
Okay.
Obviously all the fabric warranty, if you're using one of the 2 brand names, is going to be the same. So Texline's got a 10-year manufacturer warranty. Okay. But we give a 5-year, like you do, workmanship warranty. And we used to put that on our quote card. We've removed that with the rebranding because a lot of guys would come out and say, we give a 10-year warranty. And then they say, oh, you only have a 5-year. Well, we have a 10-year on the fabric, but a 5-year. And if you call that guy a 5-year, it
is so hard to get that through to people.
So they didn't understand it. So we removed that. And on the back of our stuff now, all of our collateral, it just says, see what our customers have to say. That's all it says. They speak for us. So we changed that because I got it too many times where I was trying to explain, and
been there.
And here's the thing: is if somebody calls me in 7 years and they have an issue, we're going to take care of them. That's just the bottom line. I'll say it right here live. I mean, I'm not scared of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to take care of my customers because you know what I do? I make people happy and comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be a contractor that stands by his word, shows up on time, and breaks the mold. I don't want anybody to look at me any different, because I hear it so often where they're like, wow, you showed up on time, or I can't believe you got done on time. You guys were so great to work with. We just had a bad experience. I went to school for construction management. I've worked for contractors. I've seen the other side of it.
Yeah.
Our mission statement is to be the contractor that everybody is wowed by. Okay, that's a short.
I thought you were going to say that everybody else says they are.
No, that every customer's wowed by. Okay,
no, I love that.
That everybody wants to work with, and that they're just like, oh my gosh,
Good
right?
job.
So that is our mission statement in a small form. And that's the kind of philosophy we want to build at Southwest Sunscreens.
I love it. Ours is, we run a tight ship
totally
for a very similar reason.
And I love it. I love
been there, seen it, and it's like, oh, it's tough, But yeah, no, things happen also, like life happens. And so I think guys like you and me are still going to realize, we're going to stand behind what we do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love that.
And we do things a certain way to ensure that the screens are going to hold up. We get high winds in Arizona. People don't realize it.
Really
I tell people, like, it's going to hold up to 400-mile-per-hour winds. They're like, we don't get tornadoes here. I said, well, I don't expect my screen to come off. And I'm serious with them. They're like, okay. So, and if it does, it's going to be taken care of.
I love it.
So, and there's certain types of window styles.
400-mile-an-hour winds. You're not putting any screens back.
No kidding. Yeah. And the thing is there's different type of window styles. So we have different type of install methods, and we explain that in depth with every customer on how we're going to install it. If we can't use clips because it's not going to make sense, we don't use clips. We use a different install method, because you were asking, like, how do you install and things like that. So we may not be able to use clips. We may have to go directly through our frame and into the frame of the window. That's sometimes the only way to do it right. Another thing when we install is we try to make everything in one piece. Because we want to seal the window up as tight as we can against bugs. So you can remove the old bug screen
at it,
so that you're not looking through two screens.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never even thought of that. So that's cool to know. That makes a ton of sense. Yeah, let's get rid of the bug screen as well while we're in there, like in a single hung or a XO.
Exactly.
What about in like awnings or casements, which I don't even know how frequent they are out here, but like if it's a crank window, are you attaching to the frame then? Or
it depends on the situation.
Yeah.
We have something called dual lock, which is like a 3M product.
Yeah.
So if it cranks at a funny angle or something, then we'll use the dual lock. It's a Velcro, plastic Velcro. Because there are some window manufacturers that have a lifetime warranty.
Yeah.
Pella and Anderson. There's a few lines out there. Some of the newer, like Window World.
Probably is challenging.
There's some new stuff out there
that keep up with what they're saying do or don't do.
So we do have some challenges in that market.
Yeah.
I won't get into all that, but so but there's some challenges there. But we have the 3M dual lock product that we use for that, and that also gives you an air gap to allow the proper flow of air, so that you have some ventilation. Because that's what they want. Yeah, well, it's more for the air ventilation, so that, because they say there needs to be air, but so we have everything that we need to do for the window for it to properly breathe. But yeah, we have a solution for everything. There's no window that we can't install a screen on.
I love it.
And a lot of these new window replacement companies will say you cannot install a screen on this window. It has a tint on it. It's good. Well, the thing is like in HOA communities that have screens as a requirement, and somebody wants to get new windows on their single pane glass that has been there for 40 years, and you're saying they can't put screens on the windows or it voids their warranty, doesn't make sense when we have a solution for them. So that's just another story for another day, but
you said we HOA, run into that. That's all I needed to hear.
Yeah. So I'm on a board of an HOA. So that's why I see it a lot. I'm like, well, we have a solution and it shouldn't void the warranty. So you see a lot of things, and it kind of brings me into something that I heard on one of your other podcasts. which is, no, it's a good thing.
Okay,
It was
good.
like, what would you do to change the industry, or what would
Yeah.
you, and I feel like there should be like an association, or there should be some type of
Somebody
screen
watching the
screen
watchers.
standards, like there's nothing, because even at the ROC, there's not an actual screen
Well, I know what you're going to be
license.
the founder of.
I know. Yeah, it sucks. I've thought about it already, but it is what it is, right?
No, I mean, somebody's got to watch the watchers, but it's
Yeah.
funny that you brought up the ROC and then HOAs in the same breath and stuff, because one, I think the ROC has just said, I don't know that we're going to really watch the commercial guys anymore. I think we're going to let them do their own thing. So that's kind of cooking. But I feel like there needs to be like a board that like people can appeal to like check their HOAs, aside from, legally, attacking them or something, because the HOAs here, man, it's no joke. Like in Oregon, it was really kind of, it wasn't called the ROC, but it was basically the CCB, the contractors or the construction contractors board,
right,
in Oregon, and so they were real watchdogs, which is great, to a point, until you cross over into this kind of oppressive mode. I feel like a lot of the HOAs here
I totally agree.
are next level.
And that's how I got on I have a condo that my mother-in-law lives in, and I couldn't deal with what they were doing, checking the backyards weekly and looking over walls. And, on Nextdoor app, it was, peeking Toms. And I'm like, so I went to a board meeting and I'm like, this is wild, and I was just like, I got to be part of this and change it.
Good.
So that's what I did. And I wasn't doing any community service at the time. So I thought, this will be my community service. And I got sucked in.
Yeah.
Became president. I lost a brother, so I stepped down, and then they called me back in. And there's just a ton of drama still.
Yeah.
I deal with it. I just got an email before this podcast.
I can only imagine.
It is what it is, but I consider it my community service, because there's a lot of people that need me there. And without me giving my time, there would only be 2 other people there. And it is what it is.
Well, for anybody under that HOA, I will say thank you from them, because I'm sure you're doing a killer job, just kind of keeping it sane, I love the new branding, by the way. It's so clean, and it reminds me of something, and I can't put my finger on it. I feel like it's like a 50s Hollywood movie vibe or something. Like there's something that I've seen, or is it mirrored after something?
No.
Really,
the guy, not that I know of.
It really clicks with me. I like it. That's going to be fun. I cannot wait to see your trucks on the road.
I can't wait to show them off. So we'll be sending that email Friday, and I love the mascot. Even though people think it's me, it's not me. It all just clicks, and I think it'll be memorable. And that was our main goal, was to be memorable. And I think when you see a pink truck with the mascot on it, it should do the trick.
It's funny that you're pink. So I don't want to throw your guy under the bus. I know how relationships are built and whatnot, but I sat down with the local owner of Pink's and had some appetizers and stuff. So Pink's window washing, and they're pink.
Yeah.
And you're pink. I wonder if there's a future collaboration there.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, maybe.
Just people in the same space, kind of, knocking on the same doors and stuff. So, okay. So in 2 years, what are you going to look back at and say, wow, I didn't think we'd actually get that one done? What's something you're hopeful for in 2 years? It's a box that your OCD mind gets to check off. Like, we did it.
2 years?
2020, well, late 2026. We'll just say 2027, maybe. Something out there in the future that's like, it sounds like you and Brad are big planners, and maybe you've talked through some of this stuff. Is there kind of like, do you want to have 20 employees, or, 10 trucks, or, some number of something, or some achievable?
I've really been focused on the 12 months right now.
Sure.
That it's hard to even think that far ahead. But if I had to really look at it,
you could do 12 months too, if that's easier to answer.
No, I'm going to stick to your question. Okay. I'm going to think about it. In the next 2 years, I think for me, it would be to have 2 full-time employees on the west side. and 2 full-time employees on the east side as well.
Okay.
And with that being said, we're fully processed. So all our processes are in place and we're ready to take it to that next level. Because to be functioning and to be, it's just about having those processes. I think that's the biggest scare for us right now, because for 13 years, it's just been we just work.
Yeah.
So once those processes are in place, when we get it implemented in the West Valley, implemented in the East Valley, then it's in place. Then we can go up to
then you've
north,
created scalability.
Tucson. We can break other barriers that we haven't been to, and that'll really help the bottom line, the revenue. And once we do that, then it's all of Arizona.
I know a great franchise guy.
So it's all about, I think, getting it dialed in. And if we can dial in what we already have and do it well and create that culture,
you do it great. It's just, I think just logging it, making it so that you can say, okay, Bob, now you do what we just did. I think you're totally onto it on the SOPs, standard operating procedures and such, for really creating something scalable. I am so stoked to watch where this goes.
Yeah. So I think in 2 years, it's just a matter of really getting out of the business and working, or getting, from working in the business to working on the business, to where I'm able to do more things like this, build more relationships.
Yeah.
That for me is going to be what's huge.
This is fun. So, I really appreciate it. And I just want to say thanks for coming out. I mean, nobody knows what they're getting into when they're like, I'm going to do a podcast. What is that? And it's just, it's not so bad. So thank you for sticking your neck out and taking a risk and doing something uncomfortable, and just coming out and sitting down and talking. This has been a load of fun.
It's been awesome. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.